from the shadows of the National Palace.
To the muddy trenches of politics. This is La Posilga, the pigsty of politics, with Che Marrano.
Greetings, my pigs. Welcome to another edition of this, your favorite pigsty, Yonal. The only pig pen where we don't swallow the kibble the regime throws at us from the National Palace. What we're going to analyze today is at such a level of political stupidity that even the writers of the most mediocre series would be ashamed to write it. Today we'll discuss the leadership of the Fourth Transformation. The very same, the very Macuspana jackass and the heir to the throne have once again shown that not only do they lack intelligence, but they also have a level of naivety that borders on pathological. I am your not-so-humble host, Luis Berman. Let's get started. Everything indicates that our geniuses in power, the welfare blockhead, stuffed pepper nose, Andy, his damn father, and the very presichachis Claudia Sheinbaum. Once again, they've fallen for it. Completely, but completely into the trap set by American intelligence. And really, how else can you explain the circus we just witnessed? Let's take a closer look. It turns out that the aforementioned tax fraud racketeer has decided to resign from his position as Secretary of Organization for Morena, as well as from his role as a member of the National Elections Commission. What a surprise, right? His sudden interest in obtaining immunity is nothing more than confirmation that he's in deep trouble. The man is so desperate that he reeks of fear, from the Zócalo all the way to the northern border. In a letter addressed to the party leader, Ariadna Montiel, to Congress and the National Council, as well as to the general membership. El Bodoque explained that his decision is due to his intention to run for a seat as federal representative for Tabasco's 6th Federal Electoral District. The return to Tabasco had been described as a strategic withdrawal, with the aim of seeking a legislative position and building from the ground up a political relaunch, with a long-term vision following a path, similarly cast to the one taken by his good-for-nothing father, Tabasco, Mexico City, and eventually the Mexican presidency. God forbid. Since the end of 2025, analysts and specialized media had anticipated that López Beltrán would prepare his departure from the Morena organization secretariat after internal tensions and electoral setbacks that left a mark on his administration. Among the factors pointed out as triggers was precisely a clash with Claudia Sheinbaum over the management of the party and the selection of candidates for 2027. But what really happened? It's simple. Sheinbaum, in her role as president and unwitting messenger, spilled the beans and warned him, probably with trembling hands, about the case against him that U.S. are about to bring before a New York court. Do you know who dropped the bomb on him? None other than Mark Wayne Mullen, the Secretary of Homeland Security of the United States, who just visited last week. This is where the juicy part of it comes in, the part that makes you burst out laughing. Mullen didn't give that information to Chachis out of diplomatic courtesy. Come on, nobody's buying that. He told her that precisely with the intention of diagnosing, measuring, and confirming the degree of complicity, the hidden loyalties and gutter alliances that exist among the top bosses of the narco regime of the 4T. The gringos threw out the bait, knowing perfectly well that they wouldn't be able to resist biting it. And there are our brilliant leaders, watching as the rats run out looking for legal protection. Their desperation confirms that the information was indeed true, and that the Mexican government is rattled. The CIA, the FBI, and all the American intelligence agencies must be in Washington right now in stitches, laughing seeing how these three Andy, the old man Patasmeadas, and Chachis Claudia Sheinbaum moved on the board just as they wanted. They led them into making a mistake. They made them reveal their cards, and to top it off, they confirmed to us once again that the regime's protection plan for their welfare narcos is as solid as a house of cards in the middle of a hurricane. It's clear, and it must be said plainly, intelligence is not his strong suit. In fact, I would say that the combined IQ of these three characters is barely enough to light a bulb. And that's if it doesn't burn out in the process. López Obrador and his accomplices think they're the masters of the political game, the strategists who outsmart the empire. But in reality, they're just comic opera criminals, politicians so hungry for power that they believe their own lies. They think they can play hide and seek with international justice while protecting their favorite criminals, without realizing that in the big leagues, they're not the players. They're just the pawns. The tragedy of this country is that while they try to save their own skin and hide their connections, we're watching as their masks fall off. Impunity, the very thing they've defended so much, is crumbling in their hands. And the worst part is that they didn't realize that by trying to save Brother Lelo, all they did was hand over to the US justice system the treasure map of all their corruption. We are facing the brothel dynasty. In Morena, even residency is optional. Andy is looking for a seat in Tabasco like someone calling for a waiter at the corner bar. The prodigal son who doesn't even live in the promised land, Andy Lopez Beltran, is looking for a seat in Tabasco to escape his family's karma. From the Secretariat of Organization to Tabasco's impunity, it's nothing more than the Morena dynasty and their eternal quest for heavenly immunity. Andy, the nomad of the fourth transformation, doesn't live in Tabasco, but he does live off the public budget. This is how the New Mexico is built. The brothel dynasty's spoiled son is running for Congress in a state he's never visited. Morena no longer hides Bordel's nepotism. Andy Lopez Beltran, the freeloader who doesn't live in Tabasco, is seeking immunity so his daddy won't see him in the New York Times and the Washington Post. From the national mescrotos to a phantom congressman, the legacy of the Macuspano jackass is a son who doesn't even fit in his own state. So, my dear piggies, if you thought this was going to end with an elegant exit, forget it. This is going to end like every good Greek tragedy, with the protagonists falling because of their own arrogance and a stupidity so monumental that it will be studied in political science schools for the next 100 years. And maybe it won't be tomorrow, maybe it won't be in a month, but that it will happen, you can be absolutely sure of. Because I've read comments, especially from a fool who keeps commenting, "The wolf is coming, the wolf is coming, blah, blah, blah." He thinks he's discrediting what's being said here. But I just want to remind that idiot that we said here that Maduro would fall and that they would ask for Rocha Moya's head. There are the facts. Also, the Cuban regime will fall soon. We've said that here as well. Anyway, people who don't just talk nonsense because they can. Old Guango Lopez Obrador must be very proud of the piece of crap he has for a son. Well, he became everything he used to criticize. A political rich kid who failed at every task he was assigned. And he's going for more, no doubt about it. Now he wants to be a congressman by riding on his father's coattails in Tabasco, where, by the way, the mobster Adan Augusto Lopez of La Barredora immediately gave him his support. But well, what can you do? That's the sort of creature we have governing us. We're out of time for today in this pigsty, but don't worry, things are heating up more every day, and we'll be here to tell you all about it with the sarcasm that hurts them so much. Signing off is the sharpest and most sarcastic pig, Luis Berman. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this chronicle with your friends who still believe in the Forti. Because here in El Chiquero, we don't hold anything back. See you on Thursday. I'll read your comments.
This is the pigsty. El Chiquero, the pig pen of politics, with Luis Berman.